Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. So you joined me on Tuesday the 3rd of October, and if you're counting correctly, you'll realise that that is just over, one day over. I mean, it is evening time and it's dark, so it's practically 2 weeks until this bike, yes, this T140 Bonneville, is going for its MOT. There's a lot to do. I'm waiting on some parts. I've got quite a bit I can get on with, and as you may have noticed, there are wires everywhere because we are creating a wiring harness. A bit of a backstory first before we get to that. If you've seen the Instagram post, and I'm not sure if I've done a video of it, I had the primary drive mostly together, and then I was watching a video trying to confirm about the alternator spacing for the rotor, because I realised the spacing configuration that was on the engine originally just didn't add up. It didn't tally with what I would expect to see. So I was looking for a video that would show me one of these coming apart just to confirm what they actually came at the factory, because you can never trust parts books and Triumph documentation. Anyway, I was watching this video, and a very kind chap, he's taking it apart, and he says, yeah, so when you put your drive sprocket on, and just before you put the tab washer on, make sure you put the O-ring in. What O-ring? Well, he was referring to this O-ring in here, which wasn't there when we took the bike apart. When you have a really good look on the parts book, you can actually see it. So, end result, I've taken it apart. I've now fitted an O-ring in there, and I'm waiting for a new tab washer because the time I put it together before was the last life of that tab washer. I'm waiting for that to come now. So, once the tab washer comes, we can get this primary back together. I'm also waiting for a new keyway. A new key, sorry, for the rotor and the correct spacer to replace all this rubbish that we've got down here. So that's why that's on hold, but we do have a drive chain. So I thought, in the meanwhile, I'll get on with building a wiring harness, because what we have in this box is just not good. Basing it on the TR7V and the single switch T140, which I think is what Harris used. It's a laser diagram anyway. It's much simpler than the twin switch with deleting the right hand switch gear. So I'm basing it on this, but integrating the tri-spark rectifier and the electronic ignition rather than all this centre portion. So I've started layering the wiring on. I'm not going to go through every little detail of it. I've tried to simplify it as much as I can. I've got one main feed up from the battery here, nice hefty one, and then the white cable is the distribution from the ignition switch to everything else. We've got brake switch wiring laid in here, and a brake switch wiring drop here for the rear. There's all my tail light wiring, some spare wires here, and then I've got my drops here for the oil pressure switch and for the contact breaker for the electronic ignition in the same colours that Boyer have used. So yeah, so we're getting there, we really are. I've got a good few cables to lay in, which I'm going to carry on doing. I'm not going to film it, I'm not going to time lapse it. I don't want to waste your time and my time editing when we're so pressured. But essentially, I'm laying cables in, I'm cutting them to the right length and crimping the ends. I will join back with you once I've got something virgin on functioning, and we'll do a couple of base checks and just make sure everything's happy, and then I'll give you a quick tour of where I've placed it all. What I need to do immediately is some sort of repair on this light switch, because these Lucas light switches are incredibly expensive for what they are. So we're going to see if we can breathe some life back into this one. If it ultimately comes to needing replacing, we'll get one at the Stafford show. So yeah, let's crack on with this, and I'll join with you once I've got a bit of headroom. Now it's about 10 o'clock. I'm still carrying on. I like wiring. It's a hobby, something I quite enjoy doing, but this, I am struggling to get into this, I really am. I got here the left hand switch rather, broken down into components parts. This was particularly grufty, quite bad. And I've taken off all the dead old sleeving off of the switch gear, which is right for placing the bin. And Luke wanted, I had this which I put on the Harley, and he says yeah, just do something like that. So got some of that. I've got that cut to length. I've got the heat shrink on each end. So this is the main high-low switch internals. I'll clean that up. Then I've got the horn switch there, and this is the contactor plate for the indicators. So I'll get this heat shrunk down, and then I can put the connectors on the ends, and we can build that switch back up. We go over onto the bike. You see, I've started getting the various crimp terminals in place. So yeah, this is all for various things: pilot light, indicators, main feed up. That's got to go to the ignition switch. And then I built a nice little sub harness for the indicator warnings. So we've got the connector here that will ultimately go to that switch that I was just talking about. This will be for the send to the rear indicators. So that will connect there. Then this is the takeoff for the front indicators. And this here is the feed in that will be from the indicator relay, which will locate in the headlight. I've done it this way, and then it's nice and simple. If somebody doesn't want to run indicators on this bike, they can just unplug this sub harness, tape up their handlebar connector and the one to the rear. Job done. So we're slowly building up. Also got the oil pressure warning light in there, which will connect onto this wire here. And I just need to get the main white switch feeds connected, and I've also put a takeoff feed here, so that is where the electronic ignition will connect into. And then here are the two wires for the contactor plate, which I showed earlier. And then this is an extra ignition negative, but feed in this instance, switch feed for anything that I may have overlooked. I don't think there's anything. I think we're pretty much there, because the regulator rectifier is unswitched feed, so this will be direct via a fuse onto the battery from the alternator on its own. So I think that's about it in terms of wiring. Go and get these bits done. We'll start getting it buttoned up a bit more on the bike, and then we'll have a final look around. It's currently Sunday, the, what's that say? The 8th of October. I know there's been a bit of delay. I have been flat out getting some stuff sorted. We've got 10 days till the MOT, and I mean, it's further along. It's definitely further along, but it still isn't quite there, is it? So what have we been doing? So yeah, I've made pretty much all the wiring harness. I've got some grounds to put in, and I've got a fuse to fit for the regulator rectifier, which is on the shelf over there. Down at the front, all the wiring and the sub harness is in. We're just working out what we're doing about the headlight, because the original, I can't remember what that designation, that bulb is. It's not a H4, but it has the same connector. But that lens is cracked, so we've got to do something like that. As you can see, the primary is on the shelf still. I was part way through fitting that, and then I'm waiting on a tab washer. That's it. Waiting on the final drive sprocket tab washer. Brake calipers are there. They're painted and ready to go on with the new pads and split pins. So I've just been getting lots of little bits done and ready to fit. And as I've been doing the wiring, which is made my life. You'll notice here I've now got the rocker feed oil line in place, and the return from the engine in place. I need to do, I've got on the bench actually, so look over here. So I've got the lower frame plate that needs a little bit more of a clean. That's the oil line to cut to suit that. There is a base plate filter. It's like a mesh gauze filter that's in the bottom of the frame. That's currently living life in some degreaser. What else have we done? What have we done? I've completely stripped and rebuilt this switch and got complete new harness on there, and that's all nice and woven. That's what Luke wanted, as per his most favourite bike in the world, the best colour for a Harley Davidson Sportster. But yeah, he saw that and said, yeah, I want it like that. So that's done. We now have the braided line for the front here, which is actually off of Bonneville, America. A modern Bonneville, America. So black braided line, ready for that caliper to be fitted. The only pain here is, because it sits on studs on the side of the fork leg, you actually have to take the front wheel out to fit the brake caliper. So I'm waiting for him to come back from, I think he's in Florida. Yeah, so as soon as he's back, we can pull that front wheel out, get that caliper fitted. That's done. We can bleed the front brake, we'll have some brakes. The rear brake, all that mass cylinder's in place, you will have seen that. Got the braided line here, ready to go. This caliper needs fitting. Can't remember what's stopping me from doing that, but there is something. Oh yeah, the Speedo drive. So the original T140V Speedo is done for. It's kaput. I need a new Speedo cable. We've got to get that. But the Speedo drive ratio doesn't really tally up with any other Speedos that I can find. And what I've managed to find is there's some replica Gold Star undersweeping Speedos that are around a 2:1 ratio. And I've got a Speedo drive on the shelf from a C15, which is a 1.9 something. So thereabouts, it's close enough. So that Speedo is ordered, waiting for that to turn up. Gotta get a cable, and then I've got to bind all of this wiring harness up. We've got to do the tappet clearances, ignition timing, primary. We have a drive chain on, that is fitted. There's a lot to get done in virtually basically a week's worth of work. What else was there? Oh yeah, so we will complete a list, and then whatever is outstanding, we will be attending the Stafford Classic Bike Show next Saturday. So Saturday, whatever the next Saturday is. But yeah, so if you see us around, I'll have plenty of stickers with me. I'll have Luke carrying loads of parts for Bonneville, because it's just great spending somebody else's money, to be honest.